Senior set the team.
Welcome back to episode 38 of Chart Talk, presented by me and Bennett. We're going to do some market outlook, social media questions, some good trades and bad trades. Bennett, you want to help me out here with what else we do here every single week that I still don't realize?
I think they know, but hopefully they know by now. I think we could just jump into the market outlook.
Some new listeners, maybe? All right, let's jump into the market outlook.
You me. So I mean, crazy price action today. There's really only a few charts that need to be looked up in my eyes. So you know, the S&P closed down a bit, nothing crazy, but the chart we need to talk about is Amazon today. I think this is everything you need to know about the market. If an $875 billion market cap company can rise 7%, you know, it's going to be very hard for the stock market to move lower. So the news on Amazon today was, and this didn't come out until the end of the day. This came out at 3 p.m., but you know, someone must have gotten the news early. Someone in Wall Street started front running the news that they're allowing third-party sellers to ship non-essential goods, which means is one sort of signal that the economy may reopen soon. That's kind of the news you have to put together there. So this Amazon doing this, the market's not gonna sell off. I was short the SPY a little bit today, and I covered it when I was looking at this Amazon action. You know, and I think if you look at the Nasdaq, it's sitting at this 200-day, and I was really thinking we're going to pull back from this 200-day area. We get the 50% retrace from high to low, you know, and we're struggling at this 200-day simple moving average. And we saw the price action Friday. It was like, you know, it wasn't that we didn't see that strong buying continue. So my thinking coming into today was we were probably going to see some more downside. So then we see this Amazon trade. And, you know, the market's not going to sell off because of the weighting that this has in all the indices if Amazon can do that. So then we started to see other tech names like Apple start to go towards the end of the day. And I bought some of this Microsoft that went. But that's pretty much it. I was thinking that we were going to sell off in this area. You know, maybe come back to this 190. I'm looking at the Nasdaq or maybe a little further. But, you know, the price action today makes me believe we're actually going higher from here, which I couldn't believe. Now, what was very interesting to see, I got to type up the IWM because this was leading Friday. This was the leading indices Friday. But we saw a major disconnect where this closed down like 2% while the NASDAQ is so strong. So, you know, we're going to have to watch closely to see if, you know, we get that action where the market actually remembers consecutive days and, you know, things that had strength one day have strength the next day and things like that. So that's what I'm really looking out for, those types of characteristics out of the market. But, yeah, I'm surprised to say that I think we're going higher from here. What do you think, Ben?
No, I mean, the fact that we retraced more than half this down move this quickly, it just shows you that how, you know, all the talk cans were like, we're not going to see highs until 2022, 2021, like all these like super far out projections. We've already retraced more than half of this move this quickly. That just goes to show you that, you know, once we get past all this bad news, you know, it seems like all the bad news is kind of behind us. So I definitely agree with you with your points as well.
Yeah.
And I think with that, we can jump into some number ideas if you want.
Yeah.
With Joe to Frank. You know, there's VEEV through 164.
Yeah, it's just, all right, so this name, it's like, you see how it's grinding up into the level? You're not going to be able to just buy 164 and have a low stop a day type thing because it looks like, you know, the real out. It's a very taily name, for example. If you wanted to buy this and with a stop at yesterday's low, you would have gotten stopped out. So it makes it a little trickier, but I think if it does move through that area, that 164, this resistance, you know, I think it moves higher as well. It's just how it does it is going to be the question. So if you're not going to be if you're not trying to be as perfect with it, and the market, you know, and if I'm not completely wrong and the market doesn't, you know, completely sell off from here, I like this one. I think it definitely goes higher. It's just a very tricky name to trade. You have to definitely buy this one against the support level rather than, you know, just blindly through 164 and hope that low day holds.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with that one. And then the second idea was this RNG through.
Oh, I almost bought this end of day. Ring. So they're video conference software, just like Zoom Video. They're the top competition. We saw that Zoom strong again today. I was going to buy this end of day against this 200 area, actually. So I like this one through the inside day high tomorrow, 213 area. Where did he say?
He said through 225.
Yeah, I don't want to wait till 225. I want to buy it against the support, rather than have to depend on through resistance, buying that area, and then having to give it, 20, $30. I'd rather buy 213, give it 200, and see what that gets me.
Next up, we have a question from Ivan. He goes,
Mr. 400?
What's that?
Mr. 400%,
Yeah.
a.k.a.
So
Mr.
he goes-
Steal Your Girl.
And this is you'll kind of get where this question is going. He goes, we've always been taught to look out for names that are moving sideways and consolidating, especially during corrections and crashes, and focus on leaders when the dust settles. He asks, does the same apply for names that we assume are holding up related to the coronavirus?
So that's-
Examples like Clorox and ZM.
Yeah, that's tricky. I mean, well, I think ZM, it's got its last run in it today. I think you have to buy it today. I think it'll have another run, but I wouldn't, depend on this getting to 200 type thing. Very interesting question though, and we often see the hot names for a trade, for a specific trade, they often cool off. And Costco actually just released earnings or same store sales a few last week or whatever this gap down was. That was last Thursday. And it was very interesting. I looked into it. I was like, how could the same store sales in Costco be down? The problem is everyone's buying toilet paper and perishables and things like that. They're not buying any of the high margin items, which are clothing, things like that. So they're only seeing the things heavily purchased that have these super tight margins. So that doesn't really have anything to do with this. I just thought that was really interesting to see that they're actually not doing it as well as everyone anticipated because people aren't buying the same way that they buy during this time. But do I think those names cool off, the hot Corona names when Corona's behind us? Yeah, very simply.
Yeah, I'm the same thing, 100%. It's like any of the not honestly gimmicky, but the things that are hot in the moment, no matter anytime we look back,
Yeah.
Bitcoin, weed, all those have those runs, and those charts have that, that blow off top or that dramatic run up, and then in 6 months from now, when this is kind of behind us and the new thing is coming up, whether it's the election or whatever else it is, then it's the next batch of what's the new hot next thing. So it's the same thing. We just want to focus on the chart and not so much of the hyped up stuff.
Yeah.
Next, we got Adam Chatty. He's looking at this BABA through 200.
Yeah, that looks good. I mean, that's like, it looks very similar to this Apple sitting here at this kind of inflection pointy type thing. If the market continues higher, and so we saw today, Amazon is shipping essential goods, as I talked about before. So if BABA is going to start, ramping up their shipments again too, you could maybe assume that they'll move higher as well. The only thing, anything China now scares me after LK is fucking forever halted. IQ is getting fraud allegations. And there was another one, TAL, which actually put in a really nice inside day. That one's getting fraud allegations. So I'm kind of just staying away from anything China for now. If he wants to take the risk, I think the chart looks really nice. And if the market continues higher from here, like it looks like it will, then that definitely continues higher with it. But me personally, I'm going to buy other things.
Okay. I like the BABA a lot just because even with the Amazon story, it's the majority of those products are coming from BABA. So it's like I think most people don't understand BABA's story, but I'm definitely with him on that BABA 200. Next.
What if it comes out that BABA's financials, they've been lying about it for 15 years and they're really doing like fucking 100 million and not all these billions of, the billions of sales.
Then we got to ask Adam Rav where his 50,000 masks are coming from.
Right. 200,000 last I talked to him. Fuck.
You got to be coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So the other two he's looking at this SGen through 120.
Yeah. I like this one a lot. Very simply, just trying to consolidate this resistance area, make another leg higher. I like this one. I think this one goes definitely higher. Nice little inside day. 121, 120, 150, 122 area. I like that one.
And then the last one was this AAON. 49.50.
Oh.
49 slash.
I like the consolidation. Definitely. If it be, see, this one is, I don't know. I have a tough time explaining that this is different than this RNG. It's a similar chart, AAON. I guess RNG maybe because is more of a hot name with everything that's going on. This AAON is very wide and taily in this consolidation. So it's like, do you want to buy it? Where does he want to buy it?
49, and then up through 50.
Yeah. So it's tough. Yeah. I mean, if it clears out of this 49.50 area and goes higher from there, then yeah, it's coming out of a huge consolidation, testing a previous all-time high resistance level. It was a big level for once for the stock, so it remembers the level, you can assume. So Yeah, through that area, it looks good. Just looks like a tricky name.
Next, we got Roberto. He's asking about Exxon.
Exxon Mobil?
Yeah, XOM through 47.
Nope. Just a dead name. Anything oil, I get it. Oil is bouncing back. It's, buy low, sell high. But this name has already bounced back a lot, and now it's into the resistance zone of that bounce back. You don't want to buy this here. It could go higher from here if he's talking about months down the line. Whatever happens with oil, But I'm not in that business of playing the guessing game of oil news. So if you're not buying into this extreme weakness, then I think you missed that one for me.
Yeah, I definitely could not agree more. Anything energy related, you got to really buy when it's really painful and have a much longer outlook. And if you realistically can't, then you're just wasting your time.
Right.
The other one was this Triple M through 150.
I don't see it. I don't see it as much here. I know the name. Everyone's, the masks and everything. Everyone thinks 3M should be a great play in this, but this chart doesn't tell me anything. It gapped up into the zone, into this resistance. I see the resistance level. If it goes sideways for another 3 weeks under this level, then maybe. But I think 140 was the last good buy in that stock, and then just add to me. I don't like it really.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I was buying up through 140.
Okay,
and
there you go. Good job.
Definitely not looking to buy 150 because again the range is just too wide.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to give 140 back to break even, no question, but I'm not going to buy 150 and try to be perfect.
Yeah.
Next we got Jeremy West asking about this guild through 80.
Yeah, through 80 in time, it's a macro level, and it showed us that it can really break out. The problem is it's so news related right now, because Trump will just randomly mention Gilead and they'll rage when he probably has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it gets up there, because it's far away from 80, so he has some time for this one if that's where he's looking at it. See what it sets up like. But very, very choppy and news-related name right now, so it's tough to say, hey, I want to buy this for long term, when it could come out they're not doing anything for corona drugs, and then the stock, gets smashed 20% to the downside. So, I don't want to be in names like that where I can, some news can really go against me. So, we'll wait to see how it approaches 80, but I think there's better out there for now.
Guild, avoid. Let's see, Ricky Gonzalez had a question related to day trading. And he mentioned that, so he's been trying to day trading. He's been day trading lately. He's been a little bit green, but he's noticing some of his errors is he's been taking profits too quickly and also not knowing when to move a stop to break even. So he was asking just what are some general rules or tips that you'd recommend in this environment when it comes to day trading?
So that it's selling too soon means he's not trailing properly. Maybe go to a 15-minute trail, because those have been working for me really well. And what I mean by that, it's tough to. So like a 15-minute trail. Let's say we bought this Piton through 29 today, and then it pivots off this 29. Rages a bit, comes back in, and pivots here. You'd move your stop to below the pivot here on the 15-minute trail, and then you still have good stock. The problem is when people are selling too early, day trading it, they're looking at a 5-minute chart or a 2-minute chart or something really small time frame where they're seeing a big green bar and saying this must be the top, but they're not getting a good perspective of what's really going on there. So I'd say trail some tight on like a 5-minute, trail some on like a 30-minute, trail some on a 15. Split up your trails and see what works best for you. For me, it was a 15-minute trail like I've showed. Because when I started day trading this too, I was like, we got to get our winners up because it's not as high probability of an environment. So you got to be shooting have a better batting average.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking profit too quickly too, and then I adjusted to a 15-minute trail, and that's been working really well for me. So give a bigger time horizon to the trail, even though you keep it intraday. And what was the second part?
It was just overall, just kind of day trading. Some rules with taking profits and wanting to move up stops to break even. It seemed like you covered pretty much most of what his question was.
Yeah, okay.
Next is David Taylor. This is probably my favorite question. He asks, when and where do you think the next Trading Experts meetup will be?
Oh, God. You can't even go on a plane right now.
Well, for the guys who are actually watching this right now.
Stress me out, yo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's talk trading. Jesus Christ, don't do this to me. Live on air. Quick, book your flight, Shake. Book it.
Yeah, so you guys know Shake hates the trips or planning them.
No, I like see everybody. It's fucking a hassle, and I
Yeah.
don't feel it's necessarily part of the core business.
So David,
Don't make me a fucking Grinch. I see
next
you.
next winter we always have the Vermont trip.
Don't say we always have the Vermont trip. I don't see. This is what you're starting. You're starting right now on air, and I don't want to do this.
I'm just saying we have the Vermont trip, definitely next winter. Maybe a Midwest trip in the fall. Again, we can't travel. It's hard to kind of plan these things, but if you guys have a place you're thinking you'd like to go to, put it in a comment in this video, and we'll see what we can do.
I'm going to Houston when we can fly. I'm going to see everything Adam Rav has going on. So if you guys want to come meet me there in Houston, we can do that.
So again, then
You
next
follow
one,
me. Y'all follow me though, okay? I'm not going to fucking Vermont again and doing that bullshit.
well, I'll be in Vermont. All right. Next, we got Colson. He's looking at this Google. Either
yeah.
Google short down through 1180 or long up through 1220.
I don't mind that at all. I like that. And you're going to hate this, but this is kind of the environment we're in right now. And the reason I bought this Microsoft at the end of the day is kind of like the same principle why I would buy this Google, where it's like it has a little momentum flag going on. It pivots. We saw the news out of Amazon. And then you look at the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ is just, at this point, Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, Google, what did I miss there? What's the one I missed? And Facebook. Fuck Facebook. So I bought Microsoft end of day because of the action we saw in NASDAQ at the 200-day simple moving average, where it's like this is like a battleground. This is going to be a battleground between bulls and bears. Everyone's looking at the spot. So the fact that we saw such strong price action, I'm kind of setting up for us to move higher from this area. So the Google, same thing. If we break higher out of this area, like with the NASDAQ, then it looks good. But if it fails that 200-day simple moving average, and so below this 1180, it should get smacked. So Colson, I like the way you're thinking on your feet, buddy, and thank you for did you get the journal?
I did. That was awesome.
Guy's giving me gifts. He moves up right to the top of my favorite list.
Yeah, that was a very thoughtful gift that Colson said. I don't have the book on me. It's
Personalized journal.
Very
cool,
good, right?
very
Yeah.
cool.
He had one other question, and this is directed at you, Shake. He asks, when it comes to scanning right now, are you focusing more on hourly setups in this environment, or still focusing more on the daily?
No, I mean I start with daily and then break it down from there. Always start with the daily. Always.
That's a very key fact. So the biggest time frame, work way down. New traders tend to do the opposite. They look at the 5 minute, then 15.
Yeah.
And so always start biggest and work down. Next, we got Khan. He's looking at this Yelp through 23.
Yelp,
oh, God.
Huh? Oh, man. Wow, I was watching this. I was wondering if I haven't typed this name up for a while. I was watching this base develop forever, and I was like, is this a short through 30? And it turns out it was. I don't like this. Just name's just too beaten up. Just nothing. There's nothing attractive about this name to me. I like the app, but I don't think the company is anything groundbreaking. I don't think they monetize well, and I think the stock is just beaten up, and it's kind of. I think there are better bounce back plays than Yelp.
Yeah, it's almost like what we were talking about earlier about like the names that are really in play right now given the virus, and as the names kind of fall out of favor. And like Yelp, it's like we haven't talked about Yelp in years,
right.
And then you think even further back, like T3 days, it's like Alcoa like kicked off earnings, and no one even cares about A anymore. Like it's
no, they fucked it up. They fucked it up. They scheduled their earnings to be later. That's what it was. Or they did a company split, and now they have like 2 earnings announcements. Or I don't know. They have something weird, but they fucked it up for us. It used to be Alcoa kicks off earnings season. It'd be like, oh, Alcoa, and then now it's like it's the banks.
Yeah, it's like a rapper from 2000. It's like he's not coming back. The other one he's looking at is this Flair, FLIR, through.
Flair, huh? 36.
Yeah, 36.
Damn, that thing got tanked, huh?
Yeah, no.
Wow, that thing got really disheveled. I
actually bought this up to 56 back in February.
I remember, and you were mad because you sold out of it at like 57 or something.
As a what?
Yeah, as accidental limit order. Do you still wish you had this stock?
I do not.
Okay. This is a pretty nice bottom, and actually through this 36, it doesn't look too bad. Whereas, what was the other one we were talking about where I said it was too wide? All right, so Exxon is very far off this bottom, whereas Fleur is still kind of consolidating near its closest support levels. So I like this one Decent. I don't absolutely love it by any means, but I could see it going higher through this 36, 37 area, whatever it is. You know, it's kind of rounding that bottom. Doesn't look horrible.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to pull up the percentages. So like Exxon's up 60% off its low,
Oh, there you go.
and Fleur is up 40%. So not as much, but
Yeah.
still up a little bit. And then the last one he had was the CIEN through 46.
The only reason I don't like this, I don't want to buy a breakout that looks somewhat extended right now. You know, it's like through 42.50 was the last decent buy for this name. It of course can consolidate for weeks on end under this level, and then I would fall in love with it. But right now, it's too wide and loose to try to make money buying 46 and trying to get it to 48.50. It's just. I think you just missed this one. I think 42 was that last real spot.
This is again. I think we're seeing a lot of these charts where 46 looks great in time, but we also Con has to realize that less than a month ago, this was at 30.
Right.
It's at 47. It's up 50% in 1 month. So it's how much more you think you're going to get out of this at this price up here?
But, that's the tricky part about trades right now when we're so far off lows. It's like I got short today and it didn't work at all, and I flipped the switch and started buying, and it was very profitable. So it's like I know I'm not buying these in the greatest of places because they're so far off lows. But what else is there to do?
Yeah, gotta buy something.
I don't have to.
So
I gotta let that register ring.
yeah. All right, so we wrapped up the member ideas. If you like, we can jump into some of the social media questions.
My favorite part. Let's go.
We got some good ones. So first one, let's see, from Ashley_Arson. He was asking our game plan for your game plan for GH. One of the names you mentioned today.
I love this through 69. It didn't go today. See, I have the little alert set. But let me get the lines all set up. So GH is one of these names that when you catch it right, it absolutely flies. So I love trading this name. Now you can see it's created this nice little bottom, really well developed bottom, and now it's giving us a really relatively tight entry. So I'm gonna buy 69, just give it this like 64, this first support area. That's really it. But I like this one a lot. I think this is in a really good spot, and we've seen the best trades that are working have been these bounce back plays. So GH is definitely up on that list for me.
Nice. And I'm hoping later on in Good Trade Bad Trade you're going to go over some of the things you call it today, because some of them that went were just absolutely nuts.
Surely.
Next up, we got Idle_Palace. He has two questions. One was just broadly about AMD, which is a common question. Most people don't really mention their trades. They just throw a ticker out and expect us to figure it out.
What about AMD?
Again, it's just blindly.
He just typed AMD?
Yeah.
It's a chip maker. All right. Go on. Next question. I don't know what they have earnings in like a few days. We'll see what's up then. April 16th.
And his next question was, how much do you need to start trading?
Bennett, this is you.
Well, Idle, if you want to buy AMD, if you have $52, you can buy one share. So if you want to start with one share, that's how much it's going to cost. And then let's see, next we got the Black Wolf asking about Netflix.
Do you think people are looking for a specific number? It's like $5,000 or $50,000. Like, what am I supposed to say to that question?
Yeah, that's
$100,000 is what you need to start. Start.
Yeah, it's whatever you can. And I think we see this with all ages of whatever amount of money, whether it's someone with 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, however much money. Really, it's the amount that you can realistically lose and not change your day-to-day, not needing to take the money out to pay for a bill or pay for your mortgage. If you're able to invest that money, know it's going to be invested in the market through the ups and downs, that it's going to go down, it's going to go up. Whatever that number is in your head, that's the right amount. We don't know what's right for you. We don't know your financial situation, so that's kind of what you have to start with. And again, if you're asking your question is how much you need to start, whatever you think the number is, probably cut that by a third and start with that. So hopefully that answered that question that we get again asked 100 times a day. Next, we got the Black Wolf asking about Netflix. Finally broke that 380.
What a beast Netflix was today. Fucking amazing. All-time high. Did it close all-time highs? No. Closed way above this resistance level. I didn't see this one coming. This one shocked me much more than the Amazon one did. The Amazon move. Fucking beast, absolute beast. You know, nothing is what's to say. What was the question?
Again, all those social media questions are typically just a ticker. They're not really diving into an actual setup.
Netflix.
So
Netflix was an absolute beast, and it's very constructive to see it close over this massive resistance level on high volume. So, I mean, everything you want to see in a stock in a breakout, you can type up this Netflix name, and that's what you're looking for. And
This Netflix, the Netflix that retests the 420 reminds me a little bit of like Amazon when it was getting back to 2000, like in July, like just chart wise, where 2000 was the high, pulled in, got back to 2000, and it still needed a little bit of time before it really pushed out. That's just
I can't believe I can't believe it's back at all time highs so quickly. What a fucking stock! Here, the most amazing part about Netflix today, I got the 5 minute up. Let me close some moving averages that are irrelevant. It didn't pull back today. It raged right off the open, gave this tiny little flag, and then it just went all day. It couldn't pull back at all. The biggest pullback it had was 2150 to 2130 when it opened up at 100 points lower than that. That's not a pullback. That's a sideways flag. And then it closed at a high. So I just couldn't believe that move today. I was very shocked to see that. I guess it is big news. It's a signal of the reopening of the economy, but just wild. Best stock ever.
Yeah, and even this is even a good example you mentioned before about trying to trail like on the 15. You look this up on a 15minute chart. You basically you've been pretty much in the whole day.
Yeah. You're in the whole day. If you fucking sell that one, that would. All right. Sorry. Go on.
It's okay. The next question is from Nico.agrn, and his question is kind of backing up your thesis that we're going higher because his idea is to short the SPY given the dead cat bounce.
No. So listen. I mean. It's not a bad idea, honestly. I know there's all these stigmas that we have about shorting and all this shit, but just logically, we had a 50% retracement of a massive down move. I'll show you my SPY. I'll just say it for good trade, bad trade. I short the SPY today and I covered it because we're at the 200-day simple moving average. We retraced way too quickly. Everyone's looking at everyone unemployed. The huge disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street is obvious right now. It's obvious. It's everyone that approaches me about the market, they say, I can't believe this bounce or something like that. So that's kind of like, a lot of people are thinking the same thing is we should go down from here, but that could be even more fuel to the long side.
And that's like the funny part when you think about that, where a month ago everyone wanted the downside to stop, and now
they want it right.
They want it back.
No, you're never happy in the market.
Yeah,
you think you came here to be happy?
Just a group of complainers. Next, we got NJ and Audi. He's looking at this shop. Shop 450, 475.
Yeah, I mean, oh, God. Shouts out to Casey. Casey Rodgick in our group. She bought shop 360, 370 down here. She's a lady, but that's a man's trade. Yeah. God, I'm going to cancel for that.
Apparently, it's a woman's trade.
Yeah. It's definitely a woman's trade.
Because he's a guy and he wants to buy it up here. So.
But, I mean, yeah, you can't deny. If we go higher, and we just short squeeze like crazy, this could go higher. But I'm personally not going to buy this one unless it, like, tightens up onto this level. It's just come a long way really quickly, and you need that one to have much more momentum to continue higher. So I think it definitely could go higher. I'm just not buying it here.
Yeah. Next, I'll take this question because this is the name I'm in. This is from Burn87. He's asking about Disney. Disney's a name. If you watched a few of the prior chart talks, we were talking about buying up through 96 and up through 100. And then the next area we're looking to add, or dollar cost average, is up through 108. Again, we would like to see us kind of pulling a little bit in between that 108 between 108 and 92 is kind of the current range it's been in. So if we can pull back and hold above 92 and make its way back up to 108, that'll be the next spot we'll be looking to add into it. But most likely this will take, maybe a week or two. I'm not expecting to buy this, tomorrow, for example. And then lastly, for the social media questions, we have at Javandi, and he's asking about Chewy, CHWY.
So yeah, Chewy's pretty sick. Online food ordering. I ordered my dog food from Chewy. They had a huge. They sent out an email that was like, we are so backed up on orders. So if you want dog food, you got to order 2 weeks ahead of time, and that just made the stock explode. So did he just type in the ticker and not ask a question?
Yeah, just ticker.
Cool, great. So
we got to figure it out.
if you get a momentum flag here, this probably goes higher. It's just taking out its first IPO high. But 3 days ago, the stock was at $30, and now it's at $40. So got to let it chill out a little bit if you want to buy it to let it go higher. But looks like it's going higher from here.
Yeah. And just like what you're saying, it was at 40. It's at 40 now. It was at 32 days ago. If you, for example, if you just bought it today at 40 and it pulled back for 3 days back to 30, you're down 30%. So when we talk about risk reward, we aim to look at 5-to-1 risk reward. If you're risking 30% in a name, you got to be thinking that you're going to make at least 100% in it, meaning this name's going to go from 40 to 80. So these are those questions where a lot of times we want to pass is because just the amount of real risk we have to give. We know that we're probably not going to hold this name until it goes to 80. So that's why a lot of times you're going to hear us saying like we don't like it, we're passing, just because the risk is too great. And with that, I think we can jump into good trade, bad trade, and Shake, hopefully you can start because you had a bunch of really good trades you called out today.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the spy short. I put this one on off the open, and this just gave me such a good market read that we didn't really want to move lower. So I mean, my thinking was, we're extended to the long side. Everyone wants to see us go down. I had the same thesis as a lot of these people, so I hit some off the open through that like 276, 275, and I was trying to cover at least first 270, and when we started pivoting hard at 271.50, that I was thinking, I was very surprised to see that. I thought we would sell off much more quickly like that. And then the big winner of the day that I called out was this Peloton, where nice momentum flag, obviously a Corona-related stock. Their orders are through the roof right now. This one has like a 30% short float. So buy through the trigger, and this one was just a really nice breakout. Some other ones, I didn't take this. This Docu was good, I believe. What are some other names that were big on there?
The other one was it XLRN?
Oh, Acceleron, yeah. This one through 90. I mean, it's just like we had a list of the best names, and we got that Amazon started triggering the market to a move to the upside, and we got a bunch of these setups. They all worked out. That's what's going to happen when beta is running. All these things work out.
Now, for the guys who didn't know much about the Peloton trade, what was like what was your entry?
Oh, okay,
what were you looking to buy?
So yeah, I mean, we have a nice daily flag here. Under this 29, we can see this area, and we know this name is heavily shorted. So if it breaks out and it can sustain a breakout, the breakout's a lot more likely to be a lot more dramatic of a move because shorts may have to cover. And if this thing wants to make new all-time highs, I would expect another silly type of move just from shorts having to cover. But nice little daily flag blows 29, and if you look intraday, it's been failing this 29 level over the past week really, really well. So when I saw it break that 29 with some volume, I got really confident in the move, and this thing closed at highs, up like 10% on a day or something. Just looks really good. I only kicked about a third of this one. I think this one has some legs, if you will.
Yeah. So, and again, the last thing, our big thing was talking about risk reward. So for this trade, for example, Shake was buying 29. The low of the day was 28.5, which is a little bit less than 2% risk, and then stock closed up 13%. So if he's risking 2, let's say he's up 12, that's 6-to-1 on his risk. That's an amazing trade. When the other example is when you're risking 10%, you got to make 50. It's not really as realistic. So hopefully this example helps you guys kind of understand the risk reward when we're talking about in the trades. Shake, do you have anything else on the good trade, bad trade you want to?
No, I don't think so. I got stopped at a go. I love this go, and it didn't work out. I got stopped out late Friday. So this is where my Corona plays. Bought this one up. Oh, it's not going to show it. Bought this one up through this 35.50 area. I was kicking this day one. I got some off 35.50, and then it put in a pivot at this 35, trying to buy some more, and I got stopped out late. It was Thursday. Market was closed Friday. So that one was fine. I made a little bit of money on that. Gave some back at the end because it didn't want to be a proper nice swing trade. Still looks decent. I'll keep an eye on that one. But yeah, that's all I got. You got anything?
Yeah, I have a few. So we'll start with this Dow. Again, the three ones I'll talk about, they're all just Dow 30 names. It's been my focus lately. I had some of this. I bought a little too. Again, with all three of these, the main lesson I learned from this was my thought process going into this drop was trying to buy on the retest of the 2019 lows. along with the SPY and a lot of these major stocks. I unfortunately was a little bit too early on a lot of those, where instead of retesting it, the broader market really shook out that prior low, and with a lot of these names shook them out even further. So I unfortunately didn't get the best price in a lot of these, but given this bounce that we've had, it's been giving me the opportunity to kind of free up some of these more crappier buys in a sense and not lose any money in them. So that was one of them where I bought some at 40, I bought some up through 30 after it kind of got really beat up, and as it kind of came into this gap, I was able to take some off for a few percent gain. Nothing good from a risk reward standpoint, just strictly be able to get out and free up that money because I was just didn't have a good price in it, and now I'm kind of out of it. And if it sets back up, I can look for a better price. Similar with this Merck, again, similar story. I was buying up through 78. This was beginning of March when it kind of shook down and ripped back up into 84 when it wasn't really getting too beat up with the market. Then it was a little bit late to the party and sold off. So I picked some up again, back up through like 72. And into this bounce, we can see, the last couple of days, it still is showing us that it doesn't want to get above this like 83 area. So seeing that and knowing that my price isn't really the best, I was able to just get stopped out today, make a little bit in it, and if it wants to pull back into this range, which is almost 20 points wide, I can get back in where I'm being stuck in the upper end of it. And then one of the better trades was this RTX, this Raytheon. This one I bought up through, what was this? This was...
It's so weird typing up RTX for Raytheon.
Oh, no.
So weird.
Even for me, I almost forgot about it.
Yeah.
But I bought up through 54, 55 area. We saw this again, very strong bounce that ran to 68 on Friday. Saw it sell off. I saw it, a lot of the continuation happening today. So just got stopped out of that winner when it took out Friday's low. That was a good trade. I think I made like 12% in that one. The Dow and the Merck, I think Dow was 1 or 2% and Merck was about close to break even. So for me, the big mistake was I was just too early, kind of putting money to work on that down move. And it's just me now kind of getting some of that money out and getting it settled so I can, find some better opportunities. Those were the main lessons I had for these trades so far for last week and then into this week.
Oh, top ideas? Is that next?
Yeah, that's it.
Top ideas. So, I still like the trade of the week was this SDGR, Schrodinger. Just a really tight flag below this 42. If we can break this 42, should get a nice little pop. Next resistance is this 45, 46 area. I think if it beats this area, I wouldn't look to sell into this 46. I'd be looking for a move into this 50 area. So that's my plan with it. And like I mentioned, if Amazon's going to give us a shit, I bought some Microsoft at the close just against today's low. I bought a little bit of this Adobe just against today's low in case we walk into a gap up or something like that. And I'll leave the rest for the chat. But I honestly, seeing Amazon's action today, I think we go a little higher in the short term.
I like that. The one main one, and I spoke about it briefly before on the social media questions, was the Disney, the dollar cost average entry above 108. That's my main focus for this week ahead.
Nice, like it.
Yeah. All right. I think with that, we jump into book of the week.
All right, let's jump in.
All right, let's do it. All right, book of the week. Bennett, what do you got for me?
I got a little old school. Catching the Wolf of Wall Street.
Nice.
This goes over like after Belfort gets arrested and kind of what happens after.
I was just watching that movie yesterday. It's so funny you say that. All right, go on.
Yeah. So this kind of picks up after him getting arrested and kind of what transpires. And there's definitely some funny stories. He kind of takes over. He goes into like a drug rehab facility at one point and kind of like takes it over. And this is when his like public speaking career begins because he's just able to like really take over a crowd outside of like the financial industry.
Yeah.
And they're just very hilarious stories in this book, especially with so much downtime. It's a book that'll definitely keep entertained for some time.
Very nice.
What about you? What are you reading?
So I got Money Making Secrets of Marketing Genius, Jay Abraham. Have you ever heard of Jay Abraham? No, you haven't, right?
I don't think so.
So this guy's the mentor to all the mentors. Jan, our buddy out in Amsterdam, he put me onto this. I had to buy this off eBay for him. They don't ship it to Amsterdam. But this guy mentored Tony Robbins and all the hugest dudes. Like he is worth $22 billion. That companies were giving him pieces of their companies, giving him stock just to come on and be a consultant. Like So I'm only in the beginning of this. I didn't hear of him just like you did. Jan put me onto him, and I just started reading, and you could tell this guy goes super, super in depth with just every single business, like any kind of business you have. He has specific chapters on how you should market the businesses, like very specifically. So I'm very excited to get into this one. Book was like $200. Apparently he has like 10, 20, $30,000 lectures, and he pretty much took all them down and boiled them down to this book. But so I just started digging in. It's really interesting. So this one's a good one. Money Making Secrets, Jay Abraham.
Definitely the most expensive book we've ever talked about so far.
Well, except, all right, so no. And this is my beef. So now let me put this book down and get another book up. Where is it? This is just supply and demand. Remember this book, Markets, Mobs, and Mayhem? This one was like $160 too, and it's a modern look at the madness of crowds, and it's a good book, and it showed how people how crowds can react and how they can be irrational and such. But like, this wasn't the craziest book I've ever read. It's just they don't make it in publication anymore, and it's more like cool to have. So, yeah. But it's a good book. I'm not gonna say it's not, but don't believe the price tag always.
Yeah, I think for both of us, I think once Jan's done with that book, I think he's just mail that one to me, and we'll keep shipping that book around to everyone.
Yeah.
Spread the love.
No, I gotta ship this to fucking Amsterdam. It's 30 pounds, so that's gonna be $700.
After it goes to him once he's done.
Yeah.
I'm next in line.
Yeah.
The next house member can get
yeah. Well, good luck. He's gotta wait for me to read it first, and that could be a decade.
Be 2022 by the time I get it.
Yeah. All right. We'll wrap this up. Good up today.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
See you till next time.